The Houston Rockets have themselves a tricky situation to deal with. It's becoming more and more apparent that the Rockets are going to eventually have to trade away James Harden, because Harden isn't wanting to truly play for them. And with 2 years left on a 31-year-old contract, the Rockets would likely want to cash in on assets before he has 1 year left. But what the Rockets are trying to do in any type of trade with Harden is that they want to bring back enough talented youth to be able to win now and compete with the roster that they have, but also get back draft assets to ready themselves for the future, after basically giving away every pick that they had in trades. So with this being said, the only realistic team that would make sense for both sides in terms of being able to make a trade would be the Miami Heat. So let's break down why the Houston Rockets might want to trade with the Heat and why Miami might be compelled to trade for James Harden. Starting with the Rockets first, you never want to trade your superstar because you rarely get the same amount in return. The Pelicans have been the only team so far to come out okay after trading away their superstar in AD. And let's just say that a little bit of luck on their side with the first pick didn't hurt either. But with this being said, the young talented youth that the Miami Heat have will be the best chance of the Rockets being able to get back the most value in return. Now when looking at most mock trade proposals, I believe that a trade package consisting of Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, Andre Iguodala, Kelly Olynyk, and also the Heat's 2022 first round pick and 2024 first round swap would work. The return isn't as good as the Pelicans, but just keep in mind, one was 26 years old when he was traded, and Harden is now entering the middle to latter stages of his prime. But when diving into the trade, the main prized asset that the Houston Rockets would be getting from this is Tyler Hero. Now, I know a lot of people believe that Tyler is getting overhyped as a player, but when diving into his deeper stats, he'd fit perfectly on this Houston Rockets team. His regular season stats may not show him that well. I mean, for the most part, Tyler's role during the regular season was to be a six-man type scoring role. But when Hero was able to get an extended amount of minutes in the playoffs compared to the regular season, he was truly able to shine. Tyler was able to average 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game on 43% shooting from the field and 37.6% from 3. But in all honesty, I don't really pay attention to the stats that he had in the playoffs. What was more notable was the versatility that he displayed for Spoelstra and the Heat. The Heat could have Tyler Hero come off screens in order to try and get a 3 off a floppy type of play, and then they could have Tyler stand out in the perimeter to space out the floor when a player such as Jimmy Butler was driving towards the lane. But what made Tyler truly hard to defend was how he was able to handle the ball. There was multiple sequences in the playoffs where Spoelstra allowed Hero to handle the ball in a pick and roll sequence, or even just allowing him to create a shot for himself. Tyler's ability to space the floor, handle the ball, create for others, and even rebound pretty well as a guard at 5 rebounds per game reminds me of a certain 2 guard that used to play in the league in Manu Ginobili. Hero will need to massively improve his defense in order to be considered in the same light as Manu, but the potential is there for him to reach, especially considering by how Hero has been working on his defense this offseason. Moving on to the next piece in the trade in Kendrick Nunn, the exact opposite can be said about Nunn when being compared to Tyler. After having a great regular season proving to be a massive piece to the Heat's bench, he struggled massively in the playoffs. And while this should be a little concerning for the Rockets, it should be noted that Kendrick played very well against the Lakers when given the chance to actually play consistent minutes, comparable to what he got in the regular season. Despite all the criticism that Kendrick is getting, he proved to be a very nice bench asset. Nunn showed to be able to shoot the ball well, whether it came from the 3-point line or from the mid-range area, and his ability to catch the defense's attention from being able to spread the floor went a long way into him being able to drive towards the rim and finishing at a decent rate considering his height. And while yes, he can create his own shot at a great rate, he is more than capable of creating shots for his teammates. Among rookies, Nunn averaged 6 potential assists per game, ranking 4th best. And this was all coming a tad under 30 minutes per game. And when everything is being considered, the Houston Rockets the past couple of years have truly struggled to find a player that is able to score and create shots for themselves and their teammates off the bench. I mean, just this past season, the Houston Rockets ranked dead last in the NBA in bench scoring. And it wasn't only this past season that they didn't have a good bench. Last year, they were last as well. And in the 2017-2018 season, the Rockets were 27th in the league. No matter what some may think about bench production, it is imperative for playoff success. The Clippers, after having a wildly successful bench in the regular season, struggled in the postseason, and this played a considerable role in their defeat to the Nuggets. The Celtics throughout this past season really struggled to get bench production, and it hurt them massively against the Heat. Now, as we move on to the salary matching players, both Andre Iguodala and Kelly Olynyk will be looked past in any trade. But with this being said, Iguodala and Kelly Olynyk can contribute to the Rockets in a win-now environment. We saw it in short glimpses in the playoffs that Kelly was able to give the Lakers fits due to his ability to spread the floor, and this wasn't a one-time fluke. This past season, Kelly was able to shoot 40.6% from 3 on 3.5 attempts per game, and for his career, he's a 37.6% shooter. Kelly would be that forward for this Rockets team to provide spacing off the bench for players such as John Wall to be able to drive towards the rim, and also being a nice safety benefit in the situation where Boogie may need to miss an extended portion of the season. As for Andre Iguodala, it clearly showed in the playoffs that Father Time is catching up to him. He clearly isn't the same defender that we are used to watching. But with this being said, considering that he is on a 2-year contract with the second year being a team option, the Rockets can try and squeeze the last remaining bits of good defense and team hustle from Iggy when needed, because Iggy can't provide that at this age. As we transition into the Miami Heat, I'm going to keep it extremely simple. The only reason why the Heat would consider doing a trade like this is if Giannis stays with the Bucks. The Heat promised to get a superstar to pair up with Jimmy Butler, and if Giannis resigns, there goes that route. Kawhi was rumored to want to play with Jimmy, but if the Clippers were able to bounce back this season, there goes that route as well. So at that point, what route are you left with? A route similar to the Lakers, where you trade the young talent that you have, along with a couple of picks that you possess. Overall, for the Rockets, they won't be getting the same return for a player like Harden, but it might be the best package that they see. As for the Heat, this might be the trade that they're forced to do to get that player for Butler. Let me know what you guys think. Until next time, peace.